My name's Token D Rock here with another stream. It is Thursday, October 13th, 9:51 a.m. Central Standard Time if you're watching us live. Overall, crypto has taken a little bit of beating here in the past 24 hours with the latest CPI and PPI numbers coming out. Overall, crypto market cap sitting at $887 billion. We are officially below 900 billion again. Bitcoin dominance 39.8%. ETH dominance just below 17% at 16.9%. Bitcoin holding above 18,400 right now. ETH at 1223. Binance Coin or BNB at 262, Cardano at 36 cents, Solana at $29, Polkadot at $5.88, Matic just below 75 cents. Overall, things are a little bit lower than where they were just a day ago. Can see that the market cap has decreased a whopping roughly 3.5% over the past day. Looking at the Dow Jones looks to be down roughly 0.5% since it opened just about an hour ago. Headed over to the Bitcoin chart, the 1 minute chart, we can see that during the late hours of the night, the bears were able to drive price action below the line of support right around 19,000. And the bears were able to drive price action even further down to as low as 18,200, roughly speaking. And the bulls are more or less trying to get Bitcoin back above 18.5 and onwards. Looking at the 1 hour chart, we can see that it actually has been some time since we've last been this low for Bitcoin. We go back, we zoom out. Last time Bitcoin was this low was roughly Wednesday, September 21st. We also had a dip roughly this low on Monday, September 19th, and then the time before that was all the way back here, back in June. On the June 18th crash, Bitcoin went as low as roughly, believe 17.6, something like that. And yeah, basically, Bitcoin has not been this low in quite some time. Is it gonna bounce is it gonna bounce pretty well, from this point, and maybe we have a relief rally? I don't know. Personally, I think there's some more pain in the market. But that's just my 2 cents. Again, as we can see, Bitcoin has not been this low since roughly the 21st of September, and then back in June 18th, June 19th. Looking at the CPI numbers, we can see that we are sitting at 8.2%. They were predicting 8.1%. This is not a good sign. This actually affected the markets a little bit. We can see that, sorry, that was, yeah, CPI is at 8.2%, unadjusted. 12 months year over year, 8.2%. Not good. We want to see those numbers going down. If we don't see those numbers going down, if we see them hovering right around the same space or going higher, not good. The Federal Reserve will do some more rate hikes to correct that. Google now accepts the following cryptocurrencies for its cloud services: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, ApeCoin, Litecoin, USDC, USDT, Sheeb, BCH. I think that's Bitcoin Cash, and DAI. Rather bullish news coming out of Google. SEC is harming investors, according to Grayscale. I believe the SEC just went after Grayscale not too long ago, so kind of interesting to see how this develops. The Fed's bar says crypto is unlikely to become a substitute to fiat. That, my friend, is just your opinion. Obviously, you do have a saying in all of this and such, but I think he's wrong. I do think it is going to be a very, very good substitute to fiat as time progresses, as hyperinflation kicks in, potentially here in the next few years. 47% of Americans under 42 years old, years of age, owned Bitcoin or crypto. This is coming from Bank of America. Kind of curious as to how big their sample size was, but if this is anyway true, this is pretty bullish if you ask me. Facts so far, no smart contract in the Cardano platform has been hacked. Rather bullish. New Cardano, they have no outages, unlike Solana. Solana has been out at least 5, 6 times here in the past year or two. Not a good sign for their network, but that's just my opinion. Bitcoin Lightning payment at Bitcoin conference over in Europe. You're showing just how quick and how seamless the process is. It doesn't take very much longer than taking out a debit card or a credit card from your wallet. But yeah, very, very cool seeing the Lightning Network in action. This person claims they sold all their Cardano for XRP. XRP looks to be the cryptocurrency of choice by the central banks. Not sure exactly why you would want to be doing business with the central banks. I thought the whole idea behind crypto was to step away from centralized institutions like central banks. But hey, you do what you want with your money. I'll do what I want with mine. Mexican Senator Indira Kempis says, let's switch to Bitcoin and make it legal tender. I agree with her wholeheartedly. I would love to see Mexico or another Latin American country or South American country adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. I think El Salvador did start the trend, and I think it's going to continue from there within the region, within that hemisphere of the world. Buckminster Fuller predicted Bitcoin back in 1967. There will be a realistic scientific accounting system of what is wealth. Wealth is energy. That's pretty crazy. Just think about that. 55 years ago, older than both of my parents. Pretty crazy that someone saw this coming. Maybe not, maybe he didn't predict that it was going to be proof of work, all that stuff, but pretty cool nonetheless. Justin investment app Betterment offered Bitcoin and crypto to 700,000 customers. It has $33 billion in assets under their management. Pretty big stuff. More exposure to Bitcoin and crypto for the masses. Now over to some Fed talk. We have Fed's Kashkari saying, I repeat, the Fed is a long way from stopping rate hikes. So better believe the Fed will be rate hiking well into 2023. Market Watch now warning that the bond market is very close to crashing. Not a good sign. PPI shows inflation at 8.5%, which is above the market's expectations. Buckle up. That's why we're currently seeing a little bit of a crash here in crypto, also in the stock market. Pardon me. Fed minutes. Participants agreed that at some point it would be appropriate to slow the pace of rate increases while assessing this cumulative effects of policy adjustments. I don't think they're going to slow rate hikes anytime soon. They said they're not going to do any rate cuts in 2023. So are we just going to see another full year of rate hikes? It could happen. FOMC minutes reveal the Federal Reserve is committed to raising interest rates. Florida orange crop to be smallest since 1943. I found this rather interesting. Is this because of the shortage of workers? Is this because of the hurricane season? Why is this the case? Just kind of curious. Less vitamin C for people in the United States. Maybe not a good thing going into flu season. Now that the flu has come back from being dormant for over a year plus. How it started versus how it's going a day later. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen discussed this yesterday, claiming she's not seeing anything in the markets that causes her to be concerned. Now she's saying she's concerned about the loss of adequate liquidity in treasuries. It's like, pick one. My goodness. You don't even know what's going on at this point, the way you speak. Odds of 75 basis points in November, 96%. We did get confirmation from the Federal Reserve that they're going to do 100 to 125 basis points for the rest of 2022. So if 75 basis points is happening in November, we can for sure anticipate 25 to 50 basis points for the month of December. That is if inflation starts to subside, start to get under control. If it doesn't, Federal Reserve may do another 75 basis points, which would send markets crashing even further. Dollar to yen rises above 146 for first time since August 1998, 24 years time. Breaking news, Bank of England is warning that UK households face a strain over debt repayment similar to pre-2008 crisis. History rhymes. Not a good sign for England. Bank of England signaled privately to bankers it may extend bond buying. Again, not good. UK boomers right now, when talking about their pensions. So after working for 4 years, our £1 million pension can now afford us a can of soup a day. The Bank of England looks like it's going to be one of the first Western banks to hyperinflate their currency in oblivion, because inflation's running rampant right now. But Bank of England's just like, all right, let's let the money printer go burr. Companies in the United Kingdom are being asked for loans from their pension funds. Just let that sink in. The money you saved up for your pension, well, they're asking for that money back as a form of loan to the bank. Bank of Finland has issued a warning for the populace to prepare for disruptions in banking services in reference to financial infrastructure and raise some cash. Where have I heard this before? Not a good sign. We're seeing cracks across the globe in the financial sector. Just in Germany, inflation reaches 10%, the highest it's seen in 32 years. So, highest inflation they've seen since 1980. Pretty crazy stuff. European Central Bank's De Cost says some shocks in the ECB's worst case scenario have occurred. Why are we not surprised? And they said, if properly managed, the UK situation should not be contagious. You better believe it's going to be contagious. The reality is, when the US does a rate hike, supposedly it affects other countries like twice, if not like three times as worse. So, and the Federal Reserve looks to be not pivoting anytime soon. So, markets across the board will probably get wrecked for at least next 6 to 12 months. Just the prediction. I don't know. ECB president says Europe is not in recession. Delusion is quite a powerful force. Like, how could you look at the way uh, Europe is doing and be like, yeah, we're doing great. GDP's up. Everything's great. Nothing to worry about. The MEPs over in Europe are quite upset, because they're finding, just like many of us, they're finding out that these vaccines that were pushed, that were mandated in many countries, are not actually effective at transmitting the virus. So this gentleman, along with 9 other MEPs in the European Union, are standing up and asking the president of the European Union as to why they more or less purchased 4.5 billion doses of the vaccine for 450 million EU residents, with no proven track record that the vaccines do what they intend to do. The absurd amount of vaccines that were purchased essentially equates to each of the 450 million EU residents taking 10 jabs. Pretty crazy stuff. Um, News is coming out about that. Tensions are increasing in France as the fuel crisis continues. Fights are breaking out at petrol stations, police cars running out of petrol. Huge lines, cars in some districts now limited to fill max 8 gallons of gas, and the trucks are able to fill up to 32 gallons. Again, not a good sign for France and many other countries in Europe. Are we going to see massive crises occur, massive riots as a result of the fuel shortages and such? Again, concerning times, you guys. We're going into the winter right now. It's only October. It's going to get much and much colder. Uh, People in Europe, more or less, are going to have to decide whether they want to, drive to work. They'll have to decide between heating their homes or feeding their families. It's pretty crazy. Zero sum game for a lot of people. Just a reminder that last week Biden freed every marijuana prisoner in the US, or that's what our media would have you believe. Truth is, Biden pardoned people convicted of federal simple marijuana possession. The number of Americans currently in prison for that is zero. Most people touting Biden's bold move also ignore that he is largely responsible for the ramping up of the insane drug war, which has made the U.S. the largest prison state in the world. Biden helped create the human rights catastrophe he's now doing almost nothing to solve. So I don't know if you guys remember, but back in 1994, they passed the crime bill. Joe Biden was one of the main figures behind it. It largely incarcerated African Americans and other minority groups across the U.S. between then and now. And now he wants to release people for federal simple marijuana possession. And people currently in prison for that is zero. And again, it's just ahead of midterms. Here we have Vice President Harris saying nobody should have to go to jail for smoking weed. Meanwhile, near 2,000 people were convicted for marijuana possession, cultivation, or sale, while Harris was the DA of San Francisco. Wow. Quite the backpedaling. Here we have biomedical security state, the Chinese edition, and China authority will do this to you at airport if your QR code is red. Then they will send you off to quarantine camp. How dystopian is this, you guys? Disgusting. Leave you guys with this clip. Base Jamie Dimon reemerges, drops uncomfortable truth bombs. We're getting energy completely wrong. Dimon argues the green energy fantasy has made the climate worse. We have it completely backwards. Again, the huge push for ESG nonsense. Green this, green that. There's price to be paid for all of it, and that's what I think a lot of people are kind of missing when it comes to this. If you guys like today's stream, please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified when we go live next. Please share the content with your friends, family, anybody who's interested in crypto. Please do so. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care, invest wisely. I'll leave you with this clip.
There have been a lot of Lehman comparisons made in recent weeks and months with regards to the fallout from the energy crisis. You are the only Wall Street CEO who is around to navigate the global financial crisis. How worried are you about Europe this winter, given everything that's going on in Ukraine and with the energy supply?
Well, I think we're getting energy completely wrong, which is, ever since this war started, you've known that Europe was going to have a problem. And that it was pretty predictable that Putin was going to cut off some gas and certain oil, and oil price would go up. And by the way, for the climate folks here, it's made the climate worse because people had this bad assumption that high oil prices and gas prices will reduce consumption, reduce CO2. No, poor nations, India, China, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, are turning back on coal plants, as are rich nations called Germany, Netherlands, France. We have it completely backwards. And in my view, America should have been pumping more oil and gas. and it should have been supported. We're trying to have our cake and eat it too a little bit. And so you have the problem this winter, which it sounds like they've got enough supply to get through this winter, but we have a longer term problem now, which is the world is not producing enough oil and gas to reduce coal, make the transition, create security for people. So I would put it in the critical category. And this should be treated almost as a matter of war at this point, not as nothing short of that. So, people don't be surprised. Like, I was not surprised at Nord Stream 1 being blown up. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another pipeline or a tanker in the wrong place. And people need to be prepared at this one. And obviously, America needs to play a real leadership role. America is the swing producer, not Saudi Arabia. And we should have gotten that right starting in March. It's almost too late to get it right, because obviously these are longer term investments.
Speaking of getting it right with regards to Saudi Arabia, President Biden was heavily criticized for his efforts in the Middle East, OPEC going ahead with their production cuts despite President Biden pushing against that. How would you say the Biden